Kia ora. This presentation is about gaze for online presentations. Now what I'm going to talk about is how I have developed this way of giving presentations where I look at you and I look at my content and try and keep that balanced so that you can follow what I'm trying to say and where I'm looking. So if we have a look at this content today, the problem with a lot of online presentations is that they're just not engaging. Right? When I'm looking directly at you, you see me looking down because I'm looking at my slides or I'm looking at my Zoom or other people and not at you. But if I spend too much time looking at you and not actually explaining the content, then you get overwhelmed, right? There's too much of me looking at you. So if we look over here, I can talk about the pain points on unengaging lectures. These are the content can be unengaging. The medium could be difficult to use. There could be accessibility issues. It could be attention. It could just be motivation of your students. So in today's talk show, I can't do much about your content, right? I mean, maybe your content's just not very good for a lecture. So think of the alignment between your content and what you're trying to teach. However, online presentations may be lectures, they may be live coding. If you want people to read things, just send them the web pages, have tutorials for skills. But if you're doing this, where I'm talking to camera and I'm talking to content, then find a way where I can utilize joint attention. This is one of the biggest problems for people understanding what's going on, is that as children, we learn by following the eye gaze of our parents. So when I look at those two students talking, or when I look at that mother talking with her daughter, they are sharing gaze. They are sharing attention. And actually you learn words by that shared attention. And so if we both look at these images, then you can look at them and can see that I'm looking at them. And that helps your brain goes, oh, we're talking to that. We use eye contact to signal conversational moves. When I want to throw the conversation to someone, I'll look at them. We've also found from recent research that eye contact links to synchronization of pupil dilation. And when we're doing shared attention, when I look at you, that's at the peak of shared attention, and then the pupil dilation changes over time based on the fact that we make eye contact or I look at the actual content. Managing intent, switching between looking at the person and looking at the content. How long you spend. If I stare constantly at you, that's a problem. If I'm always looking away, that's a problem. All right? So we need to kind of have this symmetry. We need to be able to find ways of connecting. And I know that when I look down this camera, you are looking at the screen, and so I am making eye contact with you. You're not making eye contact with me. That's okay. I'm not the one trying to learn. You're the one trying to learn. I can't see you looking at that content, but you can see me looking at the content. So if we look at my setup to do this, I have my Rode microphone here. I've got my camera sitting in front of my high-level screen. I've lifted my screen up so that I have eye line to you. And you can see over there, that's where my camera is placed. I have various lights. I use a green screen behind me here to actually show to cut myself out so I can stand here and point at my content. I'm using an Elgato screen, I'm using OBS, I have a standard Logitech camera, I have a Rode microphone, and I'm using cursor highlighting so that I can bring in my cursor, and it's just a little bit easier to see. And if I put my cursor up there, you can see that I'm just looking at my cursor, and that gives you pretty good tracking of where I'm looking. So if we have a look at sort of the discussion, it's in OBS, we use properties. I have a manual color balance, always important to turn it off, otherwise the green overloads the camera. I use a chroma key filter, I use a display filter on black or on gray for my coding so that I can stand behind this text and rather than just be in front of it. And I place my image of me in the bottom corner here and flip it so I can look the right direction. We use virtual camera to go to Zoom, and I stream on Twitch. And sometimes you'll see me looking that way. That's because that's where my chat window is. So when I've got streaming, I can look over there to see my chat window and look at my content over here. When I'm doing live coding, this is me looking at my cursor there, right? And so I'm slightly behind the text by using those overlays, and you can see my eye. You can see where I'm looking. So I don't just have this cursor highlight, I also have the fact that I'm looking in that direction to help your brain go, that's where I'm supposed to be paying attention. Rather than me looking down or looking sideways or just randomly looking straight all the time, this gives you much better context. And so here you can tell probably that I'm looking at Rode Microphone. So if I'm talking about Rode Microphone, I can be looking at it and actually talk to it. I looked at the engagement of students. Now, people say that student attention is really terrible. Look at some of these numbers. This is a 99.8 minute video. This is nearly 100-minute video. I'm getting 74% completion when I'm using this style of presentation. And if you look at the engagement, it goes up over time and then comes down. In the middle, I'm getting 160 views, right? And out of 102 unique viewers, right? So in this course, you can see it's viewed over a few days, and I deliver a large number of views. Now, to give you context, in this course, there's about 200 students. And so we've got, quite a few students, but if I look at videos, this is an example of me. See, that's an example of me, and you can actually see mine. Just some of the grey is the right colour for me to be behind. But that's me in the video looking at the content and using this setup, but earlier in the year. If we look at a video early in the semester, we get 75 unique viewers and a 70% completion, right? So this is lecture 2. We are 45 minutes long and only a 70% completion. Another lecture I gave, which wasn't done in this style and was just a standard lecture, we're down to 66 unique viewers and only 60% completion. And by the end of semester, and another lecture in this case, but we're down to 50 unique viewers and only 50% completion. So you can see that decrease in engagement over time for the students, except for this style where I had a much higher engagement and a much longer duration of view. And I was able to maintain that view for well over an hour. There's an hour and a half there. Now, this is not a problem with attention span. It's that it's too hard to keep paying attention when you're not getting that attention support. So my main talk in this rapid fire session is you can sustain long attention by varying eye contact with content gaze. You can balance looking at the student and looking at your content. Think about how you direct your gaze. Make sure that when I look somewhere, the students are seeing me look in that direction, and so I help them stay focused and work with attention rather than against attention to get the most out of your video content.